NFL draft nerds, welcome in. Right now, we've got a little off the cuff, just discussion, talk Friday afternoon here, getting ready for the weekend about these quarterbacks in the 2025 draft class and kind of how I view them. I've watched them a lot. Both of these guys I've watched for the last several years, couple years. Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. They are widely viewed as the top two quarterbacks in this class. I know you have some people that will include Jalen Milroe in that conversation, and Milroe, for all his flaws, does have some unbelievable talent physically, but it seems like in all likelihood Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders are going to be the top two quarterbacks off the board. And I want to talk about why I don't feel comfortable as Murray's around here getting fired up. Come here, Murray. Come on. She wants to say hi to everybody. Looking real derpy. So, the reason why I don't feel comfortable with either of these quarterbacks at the top of the class, in terms of taking them in the top five, quarterbacks are so dependent on landing spot. You know, every position really is, but quarterbacks, when you take a quarterback, it is such a big decision. And many teams are just not prepared to. Murray's just not happy. Doesn't want to hang out with me, doesn't want me to hang out with y'all. So many teams are just not prepared with the infrastructure to support a young quarterback. You look at the New York Giants, are they prepared? Do they have the defense in place? Do they have the coaching? Is Brian Daboll still going to be the coach there? I don't know. I don't know who's going to be the coach. I don't know who's going to be making decisions in the front office. Is Joe Shane still there? Don't know. But the offensive line still has some work. The skill position group, I like Tyrone Tracy. I love Malik Neighbors. I like Theo Johnson, but is that enough? Defensively, got to improve that pass defense in a big way. You look at their cornerback spot. I do love Drew Phillips, good football player, good young guy. Good Tyler Newman, good football player, but you need more. You definitely do. So beyond just these teams at the top, and you know the Raiders are the other team linked to quarterback the most. Obviously, the Titans probably going to be looking at quarterback. The Browns potentially. Where's Aaron Rodgers going to be? Is he going to be a Jet still? Where's Sam Darnold going to end up next year? Is he going to stay in Minnesota? All these different things matter, but looking at these two quarterbacks specifically, Shedeur and Cam, and why I would rather take a flyer on like Cade Klubnik if he's coming out in the draft later on. Why I would rather take a flyer on some other guys later on than just swinging for the fences at the top of the draft with Shedeur or Cam. With Shedeur, I think all of his issues as a quarterback are very fixable. From a, sometimes he's drifting in the pocket too much. Sometimes he holds on to the ball too long. Sometimes he tries to throw footballs that he shouldn't be, he has no business throwing. You look at the game against Nebraska, I mean, he hasn't played a lot of super stiff competition throughout his career either. That's another thing. But the biggest thing for me about Shedeur Sanders and why I'm not advocating a team take him at the top of the draft is, what are the elite physical tools that he brings to the table? What are they? Is he an elite athlete? No. Does he have elite arm strength? Absolutely not. I think that he's probably an average athlete at the quarterback position in the modern NFL. I think his arm strength is probably average among starters in the NFL. What does he bring from a physical standpoint that sets him apart? I think that he is a very, very accurate quarterback, both from within the pocket and on the move. I give him credit there. I love what he does from an arm accuracy standpoint. Ball placement, I think that he gives his receivers the opportunity to catch the football and get upfield. Puts the ball in the right spot more often than not. But most quarterbacks do that in the NFL. Most starting quarterbacks do that. And I think Shedeur Sanders is going to develop into a starting quarterback. I think he's going to be a quality starter. My question is, if you're taking somebody at the top of the draft at any position, is your goal not for them to be an elite player at that position? Like, are you taking a quarterback in hopes that you get a top 15 to 18 player at quarterback at the top of the draft? No, you're taking a quarterback at the top of the draft, hoping you get top 10, top 5. I think that for Shedeur Sanders to get there, he would need to be paired with an elite play caller, elite skill position talent, and a very, very good offensive line. I just don't really see that. I don't see him at being a top 10 talent at the quarterback position in the NFL. And again, there is development needed. There's no question about that. So that's why I don't really see it with Shedeur at the top. And I know people want to compare him to like Joe Burrow because Joe Burrow is really accurate. Look, Joe Burrow, his feel for the game and his accuracy are unparalleled. And he is such a gamer. And Joe Burrow dominated in the SEC at the highest level of competition. He's also 6'4", not 6'2". Shedeur is not a big guy. And when you're not a big guy, you need to have some elite traits. Like Kyler Murray has elite traits. Caleb Williams has elite traits. Murray has got the zoomies. Goodness gracious. Interrupting this video left and right. So I just don't see the elite traits with Shedeur. Now with Cam, I think you're closer on some elite traits. I think the playmaking ability is pretty darn impressive. I mean, he's got some top tier playmaking ability. And he's only about 6'2", 220, 225 pounds. So he doesn't have great size either from a height standpoint. He's got a thicker frame, a thicker build than Shedeur Sanders does. I think he's a better athlete than Shedeur Sanders. I think he has a stronger arm than Shedeur Sanders. And again, his playmaking ability, it's impressive, but it is a double-edged sword. You see him make some unbelievable plays off script, both throwing the football down the field, and just like from within the pocket, flipping the ball over here and, putting a guy in position to pick up a first down, whatever it may be off script. But then you also see unbelievably poor decisions outside of structure, both throwing the ball down the field and, just trying to make a play here or there, flipping the ball out to somebody. So that's a double-edged sword with Cam Ward, and too often you're on the wrong side of it. And then you also have the fact that he's not super accurate with the football. I don't think that that's a trait that you look at from Cam Ward that you say that is really impressive. And while I do think he has a stronger arm than Shedeur Sanders, I don't think it's upper echelon among starters in the NFL. So you're talking about average starting accuracy, probably average arm strength overall, probably plus playmaking, decision making, definitely not plus, probably average to below average. And again, we're talking about compared to starters in the NFL. Overall arm strength. I mean, I love the fact that he can throw it from different arm angles. He can throw it off platform, but for every one of those great throws he has in that type of situation, he has a stinker of a throw or a turnover-worthy play. So he's a real wild card I wouldn't want to see on the field early. I want him to get into the system and really develop. And neither of these two quarterbacks is young. Shedeur Sanders is going to be 23 very soon. Cam Ward will be 23 before the start of his rookie year. So it's not like you're talking about, well, we've seen these guys for a couple years in college starting, and they're just unbelievably talented, and the arrow is pointing so high up. I don't really see it that way. Is it possible that one or both of these players does develop into a franchise quarterback? Yeah, it's possible. But if I'm just comparing either of them to last year's class, I mean, Caleb Williams, Drake May, and Jaden Daniels are all way, way above. They clear the bar here without question. Jaden Daniels, if you want to compare him to either of these guys, he's got a bigger arm. And yeah, he wasn't a young guy either, but he dominated in the SEC. Again, bigger arm, better deep ball, more athletic than both of them, taller than both of them, more productive. Again, against the higher level of competition. And so when you talk about his accuracy, his deep ball, and the fact that he's an extreme athlete at the quarterback position, yeah, Jaden Daniels, I think, was a better prospect. Yeah, I think he also was just a little bit more poised in the pocket and safer with the football. Certainly more so than Cam Ward. Caleb and Drake just have superlative arms and very good athleticism as well. Different types of players, but they were clearly both better prospects. Um, you look at JJ McCarthy. I know he didn't have the experience or the same style of offense that he was coming from as either of these guys. The same pressure put on him to produce at a high level, throwing the football down the field consistently. But JJ McCarthy was a better athlete with a bigger arm than both of these guys. And he was a winner and he was a leader. Then you talk about Bo Nix. He was a better athlete than both of these guys. There's so many different reasons for me to not value these guys at the top of the draft, but that is what I wanted to talk about here today, share with y'all. Really appreciate you tuning in. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. Y'all have a good weekend.